Good morning, one and all, and welcome to our worship service at the First Unitarian Society of Ithaca. Here we gather, nurturing our connections, seeking inspiration, and embracing change. My name is Stephanie Ortolano. I'm your music director, and this morning I also get to be your celebration associate. Thank you so much for joining us, those of you who are here in person, and those of you who are watching online. It feels good to be together, even in this uncertain time. Please check our website for more information about how to create connections. If you'd like to receive updates describing opportunities for engagement, please email a request to office@uuithaca.org. Newcomers are especially invited to visit our website and complete a newcomer form on the homepage. As many of you know, we had to cancel our solstice service for Tuesday evening due to restrictions at Cornell. But we are still, as of right now, planning on having our two holiday services on Christmas Eve, Friday evening. There'll be a family-oriented service at 4 p.m., which will have the no rehearsal pageant. Don't be worried, it'll be a lot of fun. That will be led by our Director of Religious Exploration, Emily Richards. And we will have a 9 p.m. service that's going to be more like our traditional candlelight with lessons and carols, just on a little smaller scale. There are still spots available for both services. Not too many, though, so don't wait. You still have to reserve your space like you have to do for Sunday morning. Our service this morning is being live streamed from our sanctuary in downtown Ithaca and will be available for later viewing as well as on our YouTube channel. And this morning, we have a special announcement from our good friend, Sam Weeks.
Good morning. I am Sam Weeks, and don't believe all that good stuff you heard. What to say? Just because I'm here creates problems. Those who've known me for years are wont to say things like, he doesn't know what he's talking about. And the rest of you will, because of my age, politely listen, even though you know everything I have to say is woefully out of date. And all of you are afraid I'll drone on off topic well beyond my allotted time. They should have asked somebody else. They probably did. Well, I just completed the workshop, Pledge to End Racism. I must say that my enthusiasm for having done it is many times greater than it was when I started. I signed up, I think, mainly because of those presenting it. I know and respect them, and if they say it's good, it's going to be. And I was right, but I didn't know that until it was over. I come from a very white experience growing up in eastern Montana, but thanks to this church, I worked in a Zambian orphanage, and later when I came back, had access to talking circle with local black citizens. But my experiences have left me with not enough to know what I need. So this fall, our church started our workshops on Pledge to End Racism. It made my should-do list, but I managed to miss the first 2 sign-ups. Procrastination somehow was more like making a doctor's appointment. What is a Living the Pledge workshop? It's 12 hours designated to give you confidence in your ability to talk and to confront racism wherever it lives. The next workshop starts in January from 9:30, Saturday, the 8th, from 9:30 a.m. to 11:30, and it continues for 6 weeks. You agree to attend all of the sessions. It's amazing how much they cram into those. Now, I don't know how they did it. Still puzzled. But it was no more than a matter of minutes after I thought I had completed the workshop, and still a little stunned, I got a phone call from my son. He has a biracial daughter with whom he has only been able to have limited contact. He was excited because she was now 14 and coming for a few days for the first time to visit so that they could get to know one another. "What do you think I should do?" he asked. I couldn't speak at first. I silently mouthed, "Take the workshop." I asked a lot of questions and got to, "What do you know about BLM?" I thought it best to assume the girl's mother and probably her daughter are supporters. Perhaps the mother is giving her daughter a challenge to get to know an unwoke man. But in front of me were all my pledge materials. In a few minutes, I gave him several days' work. He's not an avid reader, but I sent him a 1619 book. He could read a few chapters even at random, and it would be a positive presence in his apartment. So, good reports. Father and daughter got on well, had a good discussion, and are looking forward to getting together again. And I got a granddaughter and my son's appreciation. I have studied Unitarians. They're good folks, support the right causes. But with all this, we don't do well when it comes to deadlines, doing things on time. Our friends are trying to get together another workshop, get it ready to go, scheduling and materials without knowing how many to plan for. You have no idea what that requires. Give some thought to them and the work they do. It is healthy to have some apprehension, but for heaven's, God's, your sakes, get registered today. You've practiced your slovenly habits long enough. So, if I can end this announcement on time, you can sign up on time.
Thanks, Sam. Yes, I've taken the Living Pledge workshop too and cannot recommend it highly enough. This morning we are blessed by the presence of Reverend Jyoti Kessler. Many of you may know her from around town, singing and chanting and teaching yoga. And I'm really excited about what she's going to be bringing for us today, starting with the chalice lighting.
There is one light that shines through all humanity. One love that illuminates all hearts. There is one radiant presence that emanates from all beings. This morning, we light this chalice as an affirmation of that one effulgent spirit that unites, connects, and includes us all. You did it already. I was totally okay. Good morning, everyone who's present here in this space and everyone who's joining us from home. It's great to have these wonders of modern technology that can bring us all together. I am delighted and honored to be here, and I feel especially blessed to be with you on this particular Sunday when we are right on the cusp of the winter solstice, the longest night, the nadir of the year, which is also the turning point, the pivotal moment when we will again begin our ascent toward the return of the light. The word solstice comes from the Latin, two words in Latin, sol, S-O-L, meaning sun, and stitium, which means to pause or stop. So it means a pause of the sun. Because the sun at solstice time appears to linger in the summer solstice on those long light-filled days for quite a while before we notice the diminishing. And here at this time of winter solstice, there seems to be a long stretch of time of a few weeks before we begin to notice the very gradual return of the light and the gradual shift in the length of the days. So, as winter time is an optimal time for stillness and inward reflection and contemplative silence, may our time together this morning be a pause in stillness, a meditative reflection on the gift that solstice time offers us. And I'd like to invite you to join me in a chant that we'll do together. And I'd like to invite Sharon to come up and do some drumming. We'll sing it once through, and then the words are in your order of service, and those of you at home will have it on your screen. So join in as you feel comfortable. We'll sing it a few times through. Honoring the return of the light. One planet is turning, circling her path around the sun. Earth Mother is calling her children home. The light is returning, even though this is the darkest hour. No one can hold back the dawn. Let's keep it burning. Let's keep the light of hope alive. Make safe our journey through the storm. Try it with us. One planet is turning, circling her path around the sun. Earth Mother is calling her children home. The light is returning, even though this is the darkest hour. No one can hold back the dawn. Let's keep it burning. Let's keep the light of hope alive. Make safe our journey through the storm. One planet is turning, circling her path around the sun. Earth Mother is calling her children home. The light is returning, even though this is the darkest hour. No one can hold back the dawn. Let's keep it burning. Let's keep the light of hope alive. Make safe our journey through the storm. 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 Thank you, Sharon.
Good morning, friends. In this time of gathering darkness, as the year draws to a close and the wheel turns, as we eagerly await the return of the light, I am so grateful for this community and each of you. We are in the midst of a holiday season where we are once again unsure of how to be together, unsure even of if we should be together, weighing our need for connection, community, and family with numbers of infection far beyond what we have previously experienced, trying to take solace in the protections that science has gifted us while acknowledging that defense is not perfect. And it is exhausting to operate at this constant level of anxiety and worry. I'm exhausted, and I see everyone around me grappling with this weariness as well. And yet, here we are, together in body and spirit, seated here in our sanctuary or in our homes, choosing to come together, quietly offering our love and care and receiving it in kind. Just as the world turns and the seasons change, so too with the seasons of our lives. This season has felt long, and I know we are all longing for the return of the sun, for the warmth and light and safety, for connection and togetherness and growth. I'm going to invite you now, for those of you who would like to come forward and get an envelope, or maybe Stephanie would again like to hand out to anyone that wants one. I have about a dozen, so we can open these up today. And those of you at home also, if you have your envelope, go ahead and find that so you can open it with me. Thank you, Madonna. I'm going to open mine. You can open yours when it gets to you. Inside, I found this light. It's really pretty. It lights up in rainbow colors. This Tuesday, as we know, marks the winter solstice, the night where the darkness holds sway, and we light our flames as a beacon in the dark. We keep the light shining through the long night until the sun finally rises once again, marking the beginning of winter and the slow return of the sun. I gift you now with your own small light. I'm going to ask you to metaphorically circle round, and I'm going to tell you a story about when the sun was born again. It was the middle of winter, and the sun had grown very old. All year long, the sun had worked very hard, rising and setting day after day. All year long, the sun had fed everybody on earth, shining and shining, giving energy to the trees and the flowers and the grasses, so they could grow and feed the animals and birds and insects and people. All year, the sun's gravity held tight to the spinning ball of the earth and the twirling ball of the moon and the 8 other whirling planets as they traveled around and around and around until the poor sun was dizzy watching it all. Now, the poor tired sun could barely make it up in the morning, and I relate. And after a very short time, needed to sleep again. So the days grew shorter, and the nights grew longer, until the day was so short, it was hardly worth getting up for. Night felt sorry for the sun. "Come to my arms and rest, child," she said. "After all, I am your mother. You were born out of my darkness billions of years ago, and you will return to me when all things end. Let me cradle you now as I shelter every galaxy and star in the universe. So night wrapped her great arms around the sun, and the night was very long indeed. "Why does the dark go on so long?" asked the children all over Earth. "Won't the sun ever come back again?" "The sun is very tired," the old ones said, "but maybe if you children say thank you for all of the things the sun does, the light may return in the morning." The children sang songs to the sun. They thought about all the things the sun gave them. "Thank you for growing the lettuce and the corn and the rice and the wheat," they said. "Thank you for growing the trees of the forests and the seaweed in the oceans and the krill that feeds the whales. Thank you for stirring the air and making winds that bring rain." Every time a child said thank you, the sun began to feel a little warmer, a little brighter. Wrapped safely in the arms of night, the sun grew younger and younger. At last, the children had to go to bed. "We will stay up and wait for the sun to rise again," they said. The old ones said, "We will stay up. You rest." "You can try to stay up, but you will get too sleepy. But you can each light a candle, because all fire is a spark of the sun's fire. Put your candle in a very safe place, and let it keep vigil for you as you sleep and dream of sunrise." So the children lit their candles and put them in very safe places, and each flame was a little spark of the sun's fire. And the sun peeked out from between the arms of night and saw the little fires and began to feel warmer and brighter and younger still. Early in the morning, the old ones woke the children. Together, they climbed a high hill and faced east, the direction of sunrise. They sang songs to the sun and ran around trying to keep warm. They waited and waited to see what the dawn would bring. The sky began to turn from black to indigo to blue. Night opened her great arms, and in a burst of brightness, the sun appeared, new and strong and shining. For in the long night, the sun had rested well and grown young from the songs and the thanks of the children, young as a brand new baby, born out of night once more. Everybody cheered, and the children jumped up and down. "The sun has returned! The sun is reborn!" the people cried, and they danced and sang to celebrate the birth of a new day, and then they went home to breakfast. We are in our time of being held by the dark right now. We are tired and we need to rest, to take time to give thanks to one another and ourselves, to let go of those things that do not serve us, and to move forward with the knowledge that the light will return, and we don't need to all stay up for it to happen. We can share that responsibility with one another. So, in this sacred time of darkness, as we wait together, my wish for you is peace and solace, because I see the light that we each hold inside of us, and I know that the sun will rise.
Thank you, Emily. Each week, we take an offering to sustain the important ministries and programs of this congregation and its presence in Ithaca. The giving information is shown in the order of service. For those who are watching remotely, the text number and website will appear on your screen during the offertory music and in the information below the live stream image on YouTube. Giving to the plate is important. It's a symbol of our gratitude for this service and our ongoing commitment to support the work of this church. So please take a moment and give through either the text option or the giving button on our church website. If you are attending in person and would prefer to write a check or pay by cash, you can place that offering in the box by the door when you exit after the service. Please join me in saying the offertory words printed in your order of service. May these gifts bring about connection, inspiration, and engagement within these walls and beyond.
I love these little candles that change colors on their own. I've never seen one like that. They're fantastic. How sweet. And Emily, your beautiful, sweet story is a perfect segue into what I was going to speak about today. So we'll stay on that theme of light. But today, I would like to explore also the light that doesn't wax and wane with the seasons. The light that sustains us spiritually, not only through this literal time of darkness, of physical darkness with the shorter days, but also the light that we can draw upon when we move through our own emotional seasons of darkness that we face. And that's either personally or collectively. And I think that we have all, over the past many months, experienced that collective pall of darkness that has been cast over our human family. In every spiritual tradition, the image of light has been used as a way to describe spirit, to speak about the essence of who we are. It's how we consistently refer to truth. God is a word that many people use, divinity, source, or just simply our own true nature. All those unnameable aspects of our being that we really can't fathom with our rational mind, we conceptualize as light, as radiance. The word enlightenment is a word that we hear, perhaps an overused term, kind of become a rather hackneyed word, but it describes our coming into that knowing of who we really are, to be awakened into the light, to see the light. But the light is not out there. The wise ones, the great sages, the saints and mystics throughout time have reminded us that the light of our own true nature is something that we can only find when we look inside ourselves. No one else can do it for us. The Buddha is believed to have said, "Be a lamp unto yourself. Be a refuge to yourself. Hold fast to truth as a lamp. Hold fast to the truth as a refuge. Look not for a refuge in anyone beside yourself." Now, that doesn't mean that there aren't guides, helpers, mentors that point the way for us. We may have living beings in this life, perhaps people that we have connected with personally, who have fulfilled that role as a guide. Or perhaps we've drawn upon the inspiration from the ancient sages. The word guru is a Sanskrit word that actually means the one who removes the darkness. And of course, that word guru is also an overused word. But its original meaning is one who removes the darkness of ignorance, the ignorance of our true nature, the darkness of illusion. And the guru brings us into the light of knowing our own divine nature, knowing who we truly are. And a true guru will always point you back to yourself. They hold the mirror and reflect you back to yourself. Think about how it's spelled. G, you are you, right? Now, there have been many gurus across cultures and throughout time, and I'm using the word guru now in a broad, universal sense. There have been many gurus that have fulfilled that role. And one of them was Jesus, who said, "I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will never walk in darkness, but will have the light of life." That's from the Gospel of John. Now, I don't believe that Jesus meant that it was only him, the man who was the historical Jesus, who only was the light. He was reminding us that there is a potential for awakening that lives in each and every one of us. And Jesus was a living embodiment of that potential, that light of Christ consciousness that was shining forth and outpouring unimpeded, completely unimpeded through him. But he said that it was possible for all of us to have the light of life. And when he said, "Whoever follows me shall have the light of life," it doesn't mean that you have to be a Christian. It means that you are called to recognize that awesome potential within yourself and find a path that's authentic for you, that enables you to live it, to be it. In the Jewish mystical teachings known as Kabbalah, there's a beautiful creation story that says that God's light was poured into 10 spheres or vessels called sephirot. But there was so much light that the vessels couldn't contain that infinite influx of divine power. So they shattered. And this shattering scattered the sparks of God's light everywhere. And when the sparks scattered, the spheres lost their original form and integrity. And so that created the formlessness, the emptiness, and the darkness that it is described in the opening passage of Genesis. And the earth was without form and empty, and darkness was on the face of the deep. So these sparks, known in Hebrew, they're called nitzotzot, fell to earth. And it's believed that every form on earth, human and non-human, living and non-living, contains these fragments of God's light, these sparks of holiness. And it is the job of humanity to discover these sparks and raise them back up, to offer them back up to God so they can be used to repair the vessels. And this process of rectification is called tikkun olam, or repairing the world. And it occurs through us, through how we act and how we show up in the world. It occurs through our spiritual conduct, through prayer and inner reflection, through acts of love and kindness and compassion and service to others. That's how it happens. And so this process of discovering the light of our own holiness is not something that we just do for ourselves, but we do it as an offering back to Source, back to God, back to the universe. And we do it and offer it to one another by our loving actions. And we do this with the trust that the Source, the divine light within, can never be depleted. The Buddha is also believed to have said that thousands of candles can be lighted from one single candle, and the brightness of that one candle will not be diminished. Happiness never decreases by being shared. In the Hindu Upanishads, we are told there is a light that shines beyond all things on earth, beyond us all, beyond the heavens, beyond the highest heavens. This is the light that shines in our heart. So if we want to use a more modern analogy, we could say that the light of our soul, which would be another word for that inner light, is the most powerful, most efficient, renewable, sustainable, clean-burning fuel in the universe, right? Now, we talk about this light within, and we talk about the light beyond the heavens, but it's not even really something inside of us or something beyond us. It is us. Our language falls short of being able to capture its nature and being able to express it. Light is energy. Light is energy. It is not solid or static. It is vibration. It's a vibration rather than a solid entity. And so here's where the sages and the physicists come together. They both tell us that we are not solid entities, that we are simply vibrating energy. We are that light. So why is it that we don't always see it in ourselves? What blocks it? And how come we don't see that light radiating from our difficult cousin, our annoying neighbor, our obnoxious coworker, or our political leaders? How come we can't see it emanating in someone else? Well, just as the sun is always shining, as you know, we may not see it because of the clouds that temporarily block it. But nevertheless, we know that that sun is an inexhaustible, ever-present source of radiance, whether the clouds are there or not. So our own personal work, which is perhaps our most important life's work, is to lift that cloud of self, to pierce that veil of ego, that sense of separate me, that's very dense, all those roles and ideologies that we've become identified with. All that we've been conditioned to believe about who we think we are, to pierce through that veil so that we may always see the light of our soul in ourselves and in others, even in those around us who may have thick clouds of ego, personality, and conditioning that may appear to block that light. And when all those veils are peeled away, it's only our divinity that remains. I'll close with a passage from the Tibetan Book of the Dead. Remember the clear light, the pure, clear white light from which everything in the universe comes, to which everything in the universe returns. The original nature of your own mind, the natural state of the universe manifest. Shall we sing together? I'm going to invite Sharon and Stephanie to join me on this beautiful chant. It's a Sufi chant, a traditional Sufi prayer. Thy light is in all forms, thy love in all beings. Hu Allah, Hu Allah, Hu Allahu. And as you know, you may know, Allah is the Arabic name for God, and Hu is another name for that, refers to the indwelling presence of the divine. We'll start call and response just so that you get the melody, and then we can all sing it together. Thy light is in all forms, thy love in all beings. Thy light is in all forms, thy love in all beings. Thy light is in all forms, thy love in all beings. Thy light is in all forms, thy love in all beings. Hu Allahu, Allahu, Allahu. Hu Allahu, Allahu, Allahu. Thy light is in all forms, thy love in all beings. Thy light is in all forms, thy love in all beings. Hu Allah, Hu Allahu, Allahu. Hu Allahu, Allahu, Allahu. So just let's sing it all together. Thy light is in all forms, thy love in all beings. Thy light is in all forms, thy love in all beings. Hu Allahu, Allahu, Allahu. Hu Allahu, Allahu, Allahu. Thy light is in all forms, thy love in all beings. Thy light is in all forms, thy love in all beings. Hu Allahu, Allahu, Allahu. Hu Allahu, Allahu, Allahu. So now just let's hear the high voices. women, or anyone with high voices. Thy light is in all forms, thy love in all being. Light is in all forms, thy love in all being. Now, men and low voices, just the low. All the voices together. Thy light is in all forms, thy love in all beings. Thy light is in all forms, thy love in all beings. Allahu, Allahu, Allahu. Beautiful singing, everyone. So I invite you now to find a comfortable position in your seat. Lengthening up through your spine, if you can. Sitting nice and tall, shoulders rolled back and down so your heart is nice and wide open. And let your eyes close. Bringing your attention to the movement of your breath. Feel the breath rising and falling. Winter solstice is that great still point where the out-breath of the universe is finally complete and the in-breath is about to begin. We complete the movement of yin, the dark, the stillness, and begin to move toward the yang, the active, the light. And as you gently allow your breath to deepen in and out through the nose, notice the pause at the bottom of the out-breath, the natural turning point before the inhale. And notice the pause at the top of the breath before it dissolves into an exhale. Your own breath is a mirroring, a microcosm of the sacred pulse of the earth's turning. As we move from season to season, solstice to solstice, from yin to yang, from dark to light. Emptiness giving rise to fullness. Fullness surrendering into emptiness over and over again. Let this silence be a pause in stillness, an inner solstice. Now I invite you to place your hands on your heart in the center of the chest. You can do it palm over palm, perhaps. This is the doorway to what the yogis call the spiritual heart, or the hridayam, wherein dwells the light that is beyond the highest heavens. And from this spiritual heart emanates our natural love and compassion for all beings. So if there is a prayer or a sincere wish for healing, peace, or kindness that arises from this spiritual heart center of light within yourself, I invite you to hold that prayer or offering in your awareness. And if it wants to be spoken, if you would distill it down to just a few words, 1 or 2 sentences that you would like to share. See what bubbles up from within. And opening your eyes now, we will have the opportunity to speak these prayers out loud, sending healing to people or places in the world that are in need, or just simply to Mother Earth. And a candle will be lit for each prayer that is offered, so we will light the candle for you as you speak your prayer. And at the end, we'll light a candle for all those prayers that have not been spoken. And with our open-hearted attention, we'll hold space for each other's prayers. And just as the Buddha said, thousands of candles can be lit from just one. The light of love is infinite. So we can pass, Stephanie is going to bring the mic around, so if you just want to stand or raise your hand, if you have a prayer that you'd like to speak, and Emily will light the candles for your prayer.
For Laszlo, healing from cancer, and his mother, Amber, I send out some light.
My prayer is that as we give love, let us also be ready and open to receive love in all its forms.
Light brings hope.
Good health for all.
refugees and homeless people.
My loving gratitude to all.
Compassion to Mother Earth.
May all in the world slow down and look at one another and love one another.
From Barbara, watching online, that I make it through the grading season.
That all who need love find love.
And so, I'd like to light another candle. We could even light several if you'd like, if there's several more, for all those prayers from those present here and at home and in our larger community whose prayers have not been spoken aloud. When we offer a prayer, we surrender it to the universal source of love, letting go of the outcome. So we put it out there and let it go. And that is what is meant by the words, "Thy will be done." Offer it to source and let go of the results. So I invite you to join me in this beautiful chant. I'll sing it once through, and as you are, if you'd like to stand, you can do that. As you are ready, you can join in. In the light of love, we are whole. In the light of love, we are home. In the light of love, we heal and sing. Thy will be done. In the light of love, in the light of love, we are whole. In the light of love, we are home. In the light of love, we heal and sing. Thy will be done. In the moment to look around and let your eyes meet someone else's. In the light of love, we are whole. In the light of love, we are whole. In the light of love, we heal and sing. Thy will be done in the light of love. In the light of love. We will now extinguish the chalice, but its light lives on in the minds and hearts and souls of each and every one of you. I invite you to carry that flame with you as you leave this place and share it with those you know, those you love, and most especially those you have yet to meet. May the long-time sun shine upon you. All love surround you, and the pure light within you guide your way on. If you know this chant or just want to wing it, feel free to join in to close. May the long-time sun shine upon you. All love surround you, and the pure light within you guide your way on. Guide your way on. Thank you, everyone. It has been such a pleasure and an honor to be here. Thank you so much, and thank you to Sharon and Stephanie and Emily for helping co-create this with me, and to our wonderful sound person.